Taoiseach, I'm grateful to the other party leaders for raising the delayed diagnosis scandal in Kerry. I'm sorry for the 4 families, but they don't want our sympathies. What they want is action. I raised here yesterday the issue of a lady who had a smear test in June, who was told in November that it couldn't be read. These type of delays that have led to disastrous circumstances where people have lost their lives through misdiagnosis and through delayed diagnosis. Surely the government will have to bring the HSE to book on this matter, and it can't be allowed to continue.
Tom Neville.
Corla, just in relation to post offices, page 48, programme of government in relation to post offices. The rural post offices, a Tay post office in County Limerick, approximately 400 to 500 people, approximately about 12 to 13 km away from the nearest post office. I would like to propose a solution, and I've asked the government to impress on post on this, that a post and pay point would be established, as well as a post point established that would give international mail, weight mail and everything there, as opposed to just TV licence and stamps. I think this is a solution that can be brought forward for any of these post offices that are in this kind of halfway house, that are still quite, as from my opinion, commercially viable. And I think this might be a solution forward, and I would ask that the appropriate minister would put pressure on post in relation to this.
Thank you, Deputy Neville. And finally, Deputy Breathnach.
Well, Taoiseach, as you well know, in many in this House, the legacy issues from the Northern Ireland Troubles continue to impact on many families, and not just Dublin, Monaghan, Dundalk bombings, but indeed many individual cases that have been impacted both north and south. This is a persistent issue coming up with the Good Friday Agreement Committee, indeed through BIPA, and there's a huge frustration out there among the families affected by the lack of response, particularly from the British, but indeed progress in relation to finding solutions to this issue. I want to ask you, Taoiseach, just genuinely, is there any progress been made, and when can we begin to see some success in terms of giving these people some hope of closure on their issues?
Taoiseach.
Yeah, let me try and deal with those 3 issues. Deputy Healy-Rae raised the issues again in Kerry, which are the subject of a report that was published this week, which I think have raised very serious questions which we need to respond to comprehensively, and that's what's underway now. In relation to Deputy Neville's proposal around addressing a concern in relation to a local post office in West Limerick, I'll make sure that that Minister Bruton is aware of that suggestion. And in relation to Deputy Breathnach, he's absolutely right. Legacy is a huge part of reconciliation in the context of the work that we all need to do in Northern Ireland between communities and families. We have had a reasonably successful public consultation process in relation to legacy and the implementation of new legacy structures that have been agreed between the 2 governments. That is going to require legislation in Westminster now, which certainly is going to be well into next year before it's introduced. We do continue to raise the issues of Dublin Monaghan with the British government in relation to releasing information that hasn't yet been made available. But we will work in partnership with the British government, in particular with Karen Bradley and her office, to make sure that, the consultation that has taken place with all of the political parties in Northern Ireland and with many victims groups is reflected in new proposals, whether that be legislation in Westminster or new legislation, by the way, that we will be introducing and are introducing here through this House to ensure that we play our part in future legacy inquests as well.